Hey everyone, it's great to see you people. So in this video, we're going to talk about the modeling industry, okay? And we're going to talk about, the what's under the glitz and glamour that everyone is used to seeing, right? As you know, things are always different on the inside, right? And it's kind of like, imagining a country, right? A specific country, and then actually going there, right? The experience is usually completely different. It takes you by surprise, right? Your complete perspective just completely changes, right? And yeah, so things, always kind of they're always different, right? You expect one thing and then you get a completely different experience, right? So same with modeling, right? Most people, I know a lot of young people, they want to become models, right? If they have the looks, right? Often it's not even them who are kind of it's not even them who initially won it in the first place, right? As was the case with me, right? People, like other people, if you're a good looking person, if you're tall, right, if you have the body, most people will just, especially in US, right, they will just push you towards that industry. They will tell you like, hey, you should model. Hey, you should model, right? And then you would start getting scouted, right? Maybe in the mall, maybe, I don't know, maybe outside. If you're living in the right state, right, then you will probably get scouted all the time, right? Like if you're in Miami, if you're in Florida, if you're in Los Angeles, even in San Francisco, probably you will start getting scouted. Okay, it's just kind of like an inevitable, I suppose, right? But this if you're a teen looking to get into modeling, this video is for you. Okay, there's just certain things that you should consider and that you should know about the modeling industry before you get into it. Okay. And also, if you are a parent who has a teen, also think about this. Think about the consequences, okay, of your action. Think about of the impact that this industry might possibly have on your child. Think about the implications that your child or that your child will create in terms of society too, okay? And I will talk about this a little bit more later on, right? But underneath the glitz and glamour, there's a completely different side that most people don't see, okay? And in this video, I will talk about this side, okay? I've been in the industry for a very, very long time, guys. I'm not in it anymore, okay? And I have a child, right? And he's 4, and he was the cutest baby ever, right? And he still is a beautiful child, right? Physically, spiritually, in terms of on every level, basically, right? And yes, he could have become a model, right? But he could have followed my footsteps, right, too. But after being in that industry, I care about my child, and knowing what I know, I decided not to, not to, bring him into that world. Okay. Of course, when he grows up, right, he can do whatever he wants to do, right? But as long as he's educated on the things that I perhaps went through, right? As long as he's aware of certain things, then if he still wants to pursue something, then he can go for it, right? It's his life at the end of the day, right? And I'm not gonna dictate what he can and cannot do, right? So yes. Anyway, so yeah, in this video we're going to talk about a lot of different things, right? We're gonna talk about rejection, right? We're gonna talk about the industry basically taking you farther away from yourself. We're gonna talk about you know, the different people that you will encounter, right? We're gonna talk about modeling apartments, and of course, you know, we're gonna talk about the pay, right? Um, you know, we're gonna talk about the pay and whether models make a lot of money or not. Okay, so let's get into it, right? First things first, right? Um, you know, as a model, right, you're going to encounter a lot of evil people, okay? So when you get into the industry, you know, as a young girl especially, right? You know, young girls still tend to be very innocent, naive, right? They think that most people have their best interests at heart, right? And so on. But that's not usually the case, right? You're going to be a young girl, right, who's beautiful, right? You probably also, as an artist, you probably have a great spirit about you, a good heart, right? Not always, of course, right, but in a lot of cases, right? I've met a lot of very beautiful models, right? The models that weren't wannabe models, the actual models, like real models, the unique ones, right? The ones that were tall, lean, the ones that had something unique about them, the ones that were spirited also, right? Most importantly, the ones that had good energy, right? They were the potential supermodels, right? And those were always the ones that were very laid back, very humble, very even a lot of them were very introverted. Like during our shows, they would like read books right behind the scenes. They would just be by themselves reading, right, or something like that. And during castings, they wouldn't go in like with their egos, right, all out. No, they were very humble. They would walk in confidently, right? But you could tell that this person was humble. She wasn't, or he wasn't, you know, egotistical, right? And so this was very attractive, right, on many levels. So, you know, people like this, right, are going to cause a lot of envy, a lot of hatred, right? And so when it comes to getting jobs, right, and going to castings, there will be a lot of abuse, basically, okay? Even if you do get the job, you know, a person like this will get abused, right? I've gotten a lot of abuse over the years when I was in modeling, right? And of course, I put up with it because of initially my low self-esteem, right? When I started modeling, I had very low self-esteem, right? And, you know, I'm not going to go into why, right? The why behind it, but, you know, maybe I will talk about it later, right? But anyway, you know, I was very, very beautiful, right? I was tall, I was slim, but still, I didn't feel any of those things, right? And so I attracted a lot of also narcissistic, you know, clients, right? I suppose, right? Or, and what they would do is they would, you know, I would get fired for no reason, you know, I would get the job and then I would get fired for no reason at all, right? They would complain on me to my agency for once again for no reason, right? I wouldn't do anything. So once again, right, like I said, this comes down to jealousy, right? Often these designers, not only do they not have the spirit, right? But once again, right, guys, it is also a spiritual battle, right? And so this was the unseen battle that I was in also, right? Of course, at that time, I was very young. I didn't realize any of this, right? I would just, you know, pick up on the slight things like evil glares or something, right? Or just things like that, like bad vibes, basically, right? I would, but I wasn't aware of the spiritual battle that we're all in, right? And so I just didn't understand why I was treated so unfairly sometimes, you know, not all the time. But I realized that a lot of designers, right? Designers are the clients, right? So they kind of make the rules, right? So the narcissists, right? The designers were very narcissistic, right? They they would kind of like they would look at you as a product, right? They would treat you as a product, basically. They wouldn't treat you as a human being, right? They would kind of like almost I don't know, with body language for the most part, with their eyes, right? They would stare at you and like, like let you know kind of that you're below them, right? And so on, right? So a lot of that happens in the industry, right? And the reason being is because once again, whether you guys realize it or not, it is a spiritual battle. That's one thing, right? And another is these people really are. At the end of the day, they might have the position or the ranking, the power, right? Maybe as designers, right? They get to dictate the rules, right? But once again, those that feel the need to make you feel bad, right? And those that feel the need to put others down in order to make themselves look better or feel more powerful. Those are the weak ones, really, in reality, right? And so these people, they're bullies, right? And bullies, were bullied in the past by their parents, perhaps, right? And so they kind of became bullies because of their past, right, or their childhood. And so they were bullied and they became bullies, right? So a lot of designers will bully their models. They were also, like I said, there will be a lot of jealousy involved, right? A lot of hatred, and the reason being is because a lot of models are very beautiful, right? They're tall, they're slim, right? They're desired by many, right? They have good energy. Not all of them, right? But like I said, the real models, the models that have the potential to be supermodels, right? They have very good energy, and they're usually very humble girls. A lot of high fashion models, right? They were the athletes, in school. They were, like the geeks, right? They were the girls that were really, they weren't considered models until a little bit later in high school, so maybe they were like the ugly ducklings, right? Or the girls that did get abused, the black sheep, right, in their family. They never thought that they were models because they were or they looked like models because they were always put down, and so yeah, these girls, they will be hated on, okay, because of their spirit, because of the fact that they developed themselves beyond their looks, okay, and for many other reasons, basically, okay. So this is one thing, right, that you should definitely consider, okay? Once again, in terms of other evil people that you will encounter, right, is the agencies themselves, okay? A lot of agencies, right, not all of them, right, but even the big ones, I'm not going to mention any names, okay? But they have their own, like, specific girls, right, that they test, okay, and they test these girls to see whether they will sleep with certain individuals, certain clients or not, right? And if they do, these girls are going to be used by the agency in order for the agency to make money, and yeah, this happens. I was told about this by one photographer in Miami while we were shooting, right? We kind of discussed a lot of different things, and he told me about this. He named one very big agency, I'm not going to mention it, right? But he said that they have girls like this that they would send to, let's just say, sometimes they would send them to Europe, right? And they would say like, hey, instead of staying at a model's apartment, why don't you stay at this client's house, right? It's a huge mansion. It's much nicer there, right? And there in this mansion, he basically, the girl will either sleep with the client, right, because she's kind of coerced into doing it, right, or she will, um, she will do it just because she has done it before in the past, so yeah, situations like this happen, right. I know from experience also that this happens. One of my agents, um, I had a couple of different agencies at the time, right, and this agency, it was a little bit like, I didn't really work too much with them, right, but basically, this agent, she invited, sometimes, models would go to dinner, right? Just to dinner with clients, right? And they would get paid for it, right? The agency would get paid too, right? These jobs are not very like common, I would say, I think, but sometimes it does happen, right? Especially in Miami, right? So yeah, one of my agents, right? She asked me to come to dinner, right? And she said there will be another girl there, right? And I said, okay, sure. And of course, I needed the money, right? And it was like maybe 500 or something. I think it was $500, right? And so we had dinner with these clients, right? You know, and yeah, I could definitely tell that they were trying to test us to see whether we would, sleep with those guys. And I was pretty disgusted by it, uh, and of course but because it was coming through an agency, I didn't, think that they were gonna do something like this. But at the end of the day, of course, I wasn't too naive at the time. I already knew some, like I said, I spoke to the photographer, I think, before that. So I knew situations like this could happen. So I was like, okay, that's fine. You want to do that, it doesn't mean that I have to say yes, right, to anything. And so I just politely declined everything, and that's it, So yeah, yeah. There will be situations like this, right? Also, situations there will be situations with not so decent photographers, and I encountered a situation like this in Los Angeles, right? I was doing a test shoot for a very big agency, right? The agency was, I think, in Tokyo, and I was gonna go there, right, to model. And it was a test shoot, okay? And so the agency provided me with that particular photographer. Once again, I'm not going to name his name, okay? But all that I can tell you is that, out of all the I've worked as a model for a very, very long time, right? Years and years, right? And I've only maybe encountered very sketchy, very slimy photographers several times, right? I can count on my hands how many times I've encountered them, right? And so this is not a very common occurrence, I would say, okay? But it does happen, right? And when it does happen, it does make you feel really, really bad and uncomfortable. And it was just a very bad situation, and I felt very sad afterwards. I think I was crying too, and because during the shoot, right, while we were shooting and doing a test, right, a test is like kind of like, depending on the test, right, depending on the pictures, if the pictures come out like really good, right, usually a test can be given to you by an agency for you to build your portfolio, right. Usually it's free, right, sometimes it's not, but so yes, and or a test can be like, if the pictures after the test shoot come out, well, then you will land a spot in the agency, right? And so this was exactly what it was for, right? It was a test for me to possibly go to Tokyo and model, right? And so it was a big agency, it was well known, right? And he was the photographer that supposedly worked a lot with them, right? And so he started, he was shooting me, right? We were doing a test shoot, and everything seemed, good, right, initially, but then he just started to kind of like he started trying to touch me, right, and so I had to push him away from me, right, and I told him not to touch me, right, and we that was like the end of our shoot, okay, and so I was really kind of upset over that, right, because he tried to sexually harass me, and he started telling me, oh, aren't you Russian? Aren't you Russian? Like, I was like, what? Like, what does that have to do with my nationality? Like, get away from me, creep, you know? So, I, let's just say, I left, right? And I was very upset. I didn't expect something like this to happen because, once again, guys, for the most part in America, right? Um, Most people in the industry are very professional, right? We're not in India, we're not even in China, right? And so, you know, things in the modeling world, for the most part, are professional. You know, 80% of the time, okay? Yeah, 20% of the time they're very sketchy, right? And so on. So in this case, I was really upset, and I, you know, and of course, let's just say that I didn't land the job, right? I didn't get accepted into that agency. The pictures were great, right? But it didn't matter. He told them that I was hard to work with, you know, and I was like, yeah, hard to work with, right? You know, so yeah, situations like this will happen to you girls, to you ladies, okay? So just protect yourself. Don't feel like you need to, you know, sell your soul. Don't feel like you need to sell your body in order to land some kind of a job or to get into a big agency. You know, if the agency obviously knows what's happening, yeah, I'm pretty sure that they know and that they're aware. They're just not doing anything about it, okay? And this photographer is taking advantage of you know, girls that already are vulnerable, right? In a vulnerable position, okay? So, yeah. And, and then, let's see, what else? What else? So it's the designers, right? It's the photographers, and... yeah, like I said, most clients will be decent, okay? They will be decent, and you will have no problems with them, okay? So it's just the rare situations that can happen and that do happen, and you just have to be very strong during those situations and you know, just kind of, you know, politely or not so politely tell them to back off, you know. So you have to be able to have a thick skin and you have to defend yourself, you know, because nobody else is going to do it for you, and people will take advantage or will try to take advantage of you, okay? One other thing, right, is that you know, you will unconsciously be leading people astray too, guys, okay? So a lot of your clients will be, you know, it will be junk food, you know, that you will have to promote and sell, right? Or advertise as a model. It will be, you know, it will be anything really, right? It can be anything. It can be a damaging product, right? Or a product that doesn't even work, you know. I remember, I'm not gonna say the name of the product once again, right? But we were doing a commercial, right? And the product just wasn't working, right? And the product that we were advertising, right? It wasn't working, and they just told us to just not wear it, you know. So we pretended that there was that we were using the product, right? But the product wasn't even there, you know. So and it was the kind of a product that, you know, you didn't have to see, right? And so and so yeah, you know, there's that, right? So a lot of lies will happen behind the scenes, a lot of things that you will not see, you know. The audience will not see it, right? The people will think, wow, it's such a great product, right? Or wow, you know, the model is so happy, it must be effective, right? Or wow, she's got so much energy, you know, this energy drink is amazing, right? I need to start drinking it too, right? But no, you know, of course not, right? and models are simply actors, right? They're not. They might be happy for the scene, just one scene, and then they can be miserable for all the rest of the time, right? So once again, don't buy into what you're seeing, okay? Especially don't buy into the advertisements, okay? Some of them are real, yes, absolutely, but most of them are not, okay? There are a lot of there is a lot of deception, and you don't know, right? But you have to understand this. I've seen a lot of deception, behind the scenes, right? And unfortunately, I promoted it too, and so that was during the time when I was, unconscious, and when I wasn't really thinking about my actions, or the consequences of those actions, So we're all like human beings, right? We're imperfect, right? So sometimes we would do things that aren't, that great for us or everyone else, right? So yes, once again, right, you will be offered to promote a lot of things that are going to be damaging to the public, right? And so it's for you to decide whether you want to be a part of that, right? Do you want to be a part of something that will damage our society? Do you want to be a part of something that will promote cigarettes, for example, right? Do you want to be a part of something that will promote energy drinks, right, that are laced with chemicals, all kinds of unhealthy things for our body, right? Things that take our energy away, actually, right? They don't give us energy, they take our energy away, all right, from us. So do you want to be a part of something like this? Ask yourself this, okay? Be conscious, if you do become a model, right? Be conscious of the products that you're promoting. I know it's probably, you would say that it's a luxury, right? To be able to pick and choose which brands you work with, right? But ladies, models, right? If we all were to decide to not promote toxic products, then then they would have to find alternative ways to promote them, and so models are they're the brand ambassadors, right? They're the people that look up to, right? And so be wary of the products that you're promoting, be wary of the body image that you're promoting, right? So and of course this one is a very tricky one, right? And because you have to maintain a certain body image, right? You have to maintain a certain figure, right? Certain sizes in order to stay in a particular agency, okay? And so this is the image, the body image that you're promoting, right? Most models are not naturally thin like that, okay? Or ectomorphs. They have to become thin like this, right? In order to stay in the agency, in order to make money, right? And so yeah, it's there's a thin line, right? So being in that specific agency or industry, sorry, it will force you to be someone you're not, okay? Once again, so this comes down to my next point, is that you will lose yourself, okay? Guys, the whole point of life, right, is to find yourself, okay? It's to get closer to God. It's to develop a close and personal relationship with Him, right? It's not to sell your soul and to completely lose yourself in your ego, in your desires, in your, in the flesh, right? It's not to destroy yourself, right? But when you do get into this industry, you're going to be destroyed piece by piece, little by little. The reason being is because everyone is going to tell you how you should be, okay? And this will start with your agency, my agency, right, the elite, elite models, right, it scouted me, right, and when I went into their agency at the time, I was running, right, and I was thin, right, very thin, but I had like muscular legs, right, because I was a track runner. And so the first thing that they told me is like lose the muscles on your legs. And I didn't have a lot of meat or fat there. I had purely muscle, guys. Like they were sexy, right? Like sexy legs, muscular legs, like nice and healthy legs, right? But they told me to lose the muscle there. They wanted this, right? And so I was like, okay. So at the time, I really wanted to get into that agency. I wanted to pursue modeling, right? So I of course did what they asked me to do, right? I kind of sold myself out in a way, right? And that's how it all started. Another agency, they told me to color my hair, right? Color my hair blonde, to destroy my hair, right? My naturally beautiful hair that was really long, right? And once again, guys, I will make a video on this a little bit later on, but I will tell you how your hair is actually connected to your spirituality, how it actually enhances your intuition, okay? So yeah, guys, like long hair, right? It's not just it's not just appealing, right? But there's a greater long hair serves a greater purpose, okay? And it has to do with your spirituality, okay? Anyways, but I will make a separate video on that, okay? Anyway, so yeah, the agency told me to change, right? The designers told me to change, right? Oftentimes I would go in, you're not skinny enough, you're not fat enough, So most agencies, when you go in to the agency, they will tell you to lose weight. No matter how skinny you already are, they will just tell you need to lose weight, right? They want you to be basically anorexic. That's what they're pushing, they're pushing anorexia onto models. The models become anorexic, right? They go along with the with this notion, this whatever the designers want, right? And then they promote anorexia to other girls who watch these models, right? Watch them in commercials, watch them on the runway, and so on, right? And so the suspecting public becomes they think that that certain body type is normalized, and suddenly all the girls want to be anorexic, and then we have an extremely unhealthy society, right? Same with guys too, right? The guys get brainwashed into thinking that's what they desire, that's what they want, that's what a girl should look like, that's what's sexy, right? So they also buy this idea, right? And that's what they look for in a girl, And so yeah, that guys, this is really it's very easy to lose yourself in the modeling world, okay? You will sell your soul, you will sell your essence, right, while you're being someone you're not. It's kind of like actors, right, guys? Just think of actors. They're also, the reason why they're so miserable in most cases is because nobody really knows the real them. Nobody sees them for who they are. The public just knows them by their image, right? By the image that was created in our heads, right? So when we actually see them, right, we don't see them, we just see the image, right? So you're looking at the person while you're not looking at the person, right? It's like you have... you're blinded basically, right? While you're looking at a human being, another human being, right? And so same thing happens here too, guys, right? Like for example, I've gotten a glimpse of what like famous people go through, right? Also because we did a lot of different shows, different runway shows, and after the runway shows, right, like all these guys, they would like want to like shake our hands and just come talk to us, right? And they would be looking at you, but they're not like, you can tell they're not looking at you, they're not really seeing you, they're just so taken with this glitz and glamour, right? And the image that they've probably created of you, that, you know, they don't see the real, the human being that wants to be seen, right, behind this image. So that's very sad. You know, that's very sad, and it does get very lonely because of that, right? Is because, yeah, because, you know, nobody really wants to get to know you, you know. So yeah, there's that too, right? And we'll talk about also, guys, about the modeling apartments, okay? The modeling apartments, I've gotten a chance to stay in a modeling apartment, and that was not too long ago, right? It was like, I decided to, you know, try modeling just one last time, right? And I decided to go back to Miami, right? I was in San Francisco at the time. I finished working. I decided to just drive to Miami, right? And so I took this road trip to Miami, and the model apartment was in Miami. Okay, it was in downtown Miami. The area, of course, was very beautiful, right? The apartment itself was gorgeous. It was a loft, right? Most model apartments are not like this, guys. Most models have to share like one room with a whole bunch of other girls, right? And yeah, this place also, we had to share our room with a lot of other girls, right? And and the agent, actually, he lived there, right? Which was very sketchy and very strange. I didn't think that this was gonna happen, right? But once again, I wasn't broke at the time, right? Like I had some money saved up. I had a really nice car, right? And you know, modeling wasn't just the only thing that I had, right? And so I think a lot of girls that were there, they were relying on you know, this agency for, you know, it was their main income, right? And so they were always around the agent, right? And I wasn't, you know, I just kind of did my own thing, came in and out, right? And whenever they had castings, I would go to them, right? But I would also kind of work like other jobs with other agencies, right? So I would come back. I basically spent a lot of time outside of the apartment. The reason being is because they started doing drugs also, right? They started smoking weed, and so the whole place was just filled with that weed smoke, right? It smelled like weed, and I remember I came into the place, right, and they started smoking weed, and I was like, oh no, right? I don't like that at all. I don't like weed. I don't like the smell, right? And so I was talking to an acquaintance of mine, right? And after being in that place for like a little bit, right? I remember I decided to go to the balcony, right? The balcony had an amazing view. It was just stunning, right? You could see the entire like South Beach, and like my, you know, everything was like on your palms, right? And I was like, wow, it's so beautiful. And suddenly I just started cracking up. I just started laughing like crazy. Secondhand weed smoke is real, guys, okay? I just got really high from just smoke, from the smell of the weed, okay, guys? And I was like, okay, it's time for me to get out of here, you know? I was like, time for me to go. This is not a healthy place for me to be in, right? Also, guys, the agent started getting really controlling with me. We were invited to a huge mansion, right, on Star Island, and we went, and he was just keeping tabs on me, and he was just like following me around like a puppy dog. And he, every time I spoke to like another guy or something, right, he would just like he would get involved, right, and just intervene. And basically, I don't know, he just kind of, he started controlling, he started getting really controlling, as if we were in a relationship, right? And so that was very odd. And yeah, and so I just decided to, to get out of that place. And I found work um, in Key West. I started working at the startup, right, as a business developer also in Key West. And luckily they also provided me with a place to stay in Key West, right? And that was very interesting, kind of unusual, right? It was an unusual kind of setup, but I got a chance to also live in Key West for a little bit and to work there. So that was really great. Anyway, so yeah, I got out of that model's apartment, right? Once again, if you're a girl with little to no money, right, and then you could have ended up in a really, really bad situation, right, where you're getting controlled by this agent, right, and you're stuck in a place filled with lots of drugs, right, bad influences. And so yeah, if you're a mom, if you're a parent, be careful, okay? Especially if you are sending your daughter or your son to another country, okay? The situation could have been much, much worse. And of course, I've read about the situations. I don't know it firsthand. I never experienced something like that, right? But yeah, I've gotten plenty of chances to go to like different countries to model there, right? And to stay in other models' apartments, not in the USA, right? But in like China and in Turkey, right? But I just never took those, I never took those opportunities, right? Because I just didn't, I knew it could have ended up bad. Okay, so, yeah. Um, you know, I've read what other models went through, right, in other countries and modeling in models' apartments, and it was basically very similar to slavery. Okay, and so be careful if you're going to a place like Turkey or China, right? Don't. My advice to you is just don't go there. Okay. As a model, don't go there. Stay, save up, and stay maybe in your own place, or share space with another person, that you trust. So, and last, guys, but not least, I'm gonna talk about the jobs, right? The runway jobs, or the jobs in general, the modeling jobs, right? Once again, most jobs will relate with you selling yourself, okay? Somehow, in one way or another, okay? At one point, so guys, most modeling jobs you will be selling your soul in one way or another, right? You will have to either cut your hair, color your hair a lot, right? I've done a ton of jobs for L'Oreal, for Kenra, for Sexy Hair, right? For a lot of famous brands, basically, right? And guys, what happened was, yes, of course, okay, I was extremely fortunate to get picked, right, out of a lot of different models, right? But right, once again, I had to cut my hair, I had to color it, right? I had to damage it, okay? You shouldn't, and I'm gonna make a separate video about hair, right, and spirituality, but we're gonna talk about this in another video, okay? But in this video, guys, once again, I sold out by, cutting my hair, by coloring it way too many times, right? And eventually to the point of it being extremely, extremely damaged, right? But of course, I was able to like regrow it, right? I just grew everything back. And I stopped coloring it, I stopped cutting it, right? So now it's in much better shape, right? So yeah, I don't. When you do start modeling, you're going to be in a position where once again, you will have to promote products that are not good for you, they're not good for other people, right? And so just think about what you're doing, think about what you're promoting, right? Think about whether you're harming yourself with a certain thing, right? Also, runway jobs, okay, guys. So most people think that models get paid a lot of money for doing runway work. No, they don't, okay? I've done a ton of runway shows. I've done shows for Gucci. I've done shows for BB. I've done shows for Nike. I've done shows for Julian Chang. I've done shows for Everything But Water. I've done shows in New York doing a New York Fashion Week, okay? And guys, let me just tell you, they get paid almost nothing, okay? They get paid with exposure, okay? Basically, so most designers will use the fact that supposedly the model will get a lot of attention, right? And then hopefully this will lead to more opportunities, right? So they will try to use this to kind of use models, basically, right? They're not gonna pay them that much, right? They're just gonna pay them like, I don't know, $100-$200 per show, and that's it. It's not gonna be a lot of money. It's just gonna be like peanuts, right? And most shows will just pay with exposure, right? Or they will tell you like, hey, at the end of the show you can keep the clothes, some of the clothes, right? So they'll give you clothes that like you can't even wear, it's like clothes that's like for, I don't know, it's like corsets or something, right? Like designer corsets. Okay, yeah, where am I gonna wear this, or you're gonna get clown clothing, basically. Like it's clothing that you can't, like, you can wear it on the runway, yeah, right? But runway clothing is usually very like avant-garde, right, or something like that. It's like very it's out there, basically, right? It's colorful, it's big, it's flamboyant, right? Like, and so it's you're not gonna be able to wear this like on your regular day, right? Like where, maybe if you want to go to the circus or something, right? And so like yeah, I've gotten a lot of clothes like that, right? And I was like, what am I gonna do with this? Okay, you can probably sell it. I don't know, right? And so yeah, guys, runway models unfortunately do not get paid a lot of money. Actually, very little. Okay, so if you are a model, you're probably much better off going after like becoming a commercial model, instead of a high fashion model, right? And because commercial models actually get like residuals, right? They can make so every time like the commercial is aired, you will get like money, you'll get a check, okay, for that. And so that's a huge plus, right? Also, like magazine work also pays almost nothing, right? Because they know you're getting exposure, you're being seen, right? You get tear sheets, right? And so it's not worth it, I think. I mean, to an extent it is, right? But yeah, just because a model is in a magazine, right, or on the runway, doesn't mean that she's rich, okay, guys? Exposure doesn't always mean that someone is super wealthy. In fact, most models are very broke, unfortunately, because there are dry periods, right? There are periods where you work, right? Then you don't work for a long time, and then you have to kind of survive, right? That's why I always had like other jobs, other work that I was doing. I was in business, right? That's why I was going to school also, right? Because I knew this industry, first of all, it's not going to last, right? Eventually we all get like, I don't know, get old, right? We age, we age out of the industry, right? Also, how much abuse can you really take, right? It's a very abusive industry. And so, once you get a little bit older, you realize this too, right? And so you want to get out. You naturally want to get out because you're like, okay, I'm not taking this abuse anymore. I don't think the money is worth it, And so I don't think what I'm doing is right? And so models, I think a lot of models, they realize this later on as they get kind of older, right? Because most people go into this industry when they're like 15, right? When I first started modeling, I was 15. I was scouted by Ford, and they wanted me to come to New York, and so yeah, and this was just for my first test shoot, so yeah, this industry, guys, it's not for everyone. I think it's not for most people. We're human beings. We're not meant to be treated as products. We're not products. We have souls, we have hearts, we have emotions, feelings, right? And that's usually not considered, when you're a model. Nobody considers your feelings, your emotions, in fact, anorexia is praised, it's celebrated, it's encouraged. You're going to get booked a lot, if you are anorexic. People will, your agent will tell you you've got an excellent body. So your own perception of what a normal body looks like will get significantly skewed, right? Because you're also always seeing these really, really thin people around you, right? So you will feel fat. You will feel not good enough. You will feel like you need to always lose more fat, more weight. So this can lead to unfortunately death, even, if you take it to an extreme. And so, a lot of models, right? There were like articles and videos of models falling on the runway, and actually dying because of anorexia, So, unfortunately, these poor girls, they took it to the extreme, right? And, they died. It cost them their lives, So, yeah, this industry can even cost you your life, okay, if you're not careful. So please be careful, okay, if you're going into this. Be aware of all the things that I said in this video. At the end of the day, guys, we have our soul, we have our essence. Choose a path that allows you to be who you are, that allows you to be yourself unapologetically. Choose a path that will guide you to God, that will lead to happiness, that will inspire others, that will uplift other people, okay? All right, more videos are coming your way, guys. I hope you really enjoyed this video. Bye.